The other day I was at the bookstore and I had a revelation. So welcome back, friends. So the revelation was just a children's book. You know, the thick kind that are for babies, you know, like real small toddlers so they can't tear the pages. They're nice and thick and they will take to medium really well and papers, and I just thought it would be a great journal. So I bought one. I definitely feel like you should sand, they're super glossy, so like sand the papers down a little bit first, then put some gesso on there, and then collage. So anyway, come with me and watch while I make a cover and I do my first spread. Let's go take a look. So I start by prepping my book. So how I do that is I take this sanding block and I just rough it up a bit so that the gesso has something to really stick to. Because this is a super high gloss finish on all of these pages, and I just couldn't get the gesso to really stick to it. So just rough it up a bit. I'm starting with the cover and the inside spread, and that's what I'm going to work on today. I had already started to do some gesso, as you see, and I wasn't happy with the way it was covering the page. So that's when I decided to do the sanding block. It's always good to have one of these in your studio. So I think I ended up putting about 2 coats of gesso. And I'm definitely going to experiment using black gesso as well, but to start with, this is my first time doing this, I'm using the white gesso. And I guess it really doesn't matter if it's completely covered because we're going to cover it with papers anyway. But you might want to incorporate some paint along with your collage. So if you're planning on painting, then definitely put 2 coats. And I'm using a hairdryer to dry it because I have no patience. So there's my second coat. And as you can see, it's a much better solid white color. Still not totally, opaque. So now I'm doing the cover as well, and the back cover. And on the cover, I'm not going to do a whole lot today. I just wanted to get something on the cover, and then I'm going to keep adding to it, I think, each time I go and work on another spread. At least that's what the plan is for now. So this is one of the papers that I made when I was working on high flow paint on the jelly plate. And I just always loved this particular print. And I didn't want to tear it up or do anything like that. So I thought, let's just keep it all in one piece and use it as the cover. And it's going to go into the back cover, and then I'm going to use another piece from that same session, and I'm going to fill in the other spot because it wasn't really big enough to go all the way across. So one of the nice things about these grids is you could line up your paper, and then to get a nice 90-degree angle, you can use the grid to go in the other direction and get a nice clean cut. So I'm going to start by putting some gel medium down on my cover. And as you can see, I didn't do 2 coats on the cover. I knew that this paper would cover pretty solidly because of all the black. So I wasn't too worried about it. So I always put like a really good cover of some gel medium down. Can't be too stingy. And then I always make sure I have a catalyst wedge handy so that I can smooth out the paper. I mean, there are other kinds of wedges you can use, but the Catalyst wedge is an excellent choice for collage. It really is, because it gives a little. It's some kind of, I don't know, silicone material or something, and it really works beautifully. I had hard plastic ones I used in the past, and they could actually rip the paper. So this is a much better choice. So this other piece of paper that I'm laying down here was also from that same printing session where I did the high flow paint. So I figured the colors would go together and it would be a good way to fill in that back cover. So I always start by pulling out some papers that I really like and then see how they go with each other and whether or not I think it's flowing, or if the colors are appealing to me at that moment, and what I might want to do with this, in this case, a spread. So I was just like, pulling out a bunch of different papers that I like. These are all papers that I thought were really nice looking. I was very happy with the jelly print session. And some of them are like that one, that dark teal that I just put down. It was kind of a boring piece, but as a background, it's actually quite nice. So I started thinking about maybe using it for contrast. But I'm making decisions. I'm still trying to figure out what my composition might be and color combinations and all of that. So, the first thing that you always do isn't always the best. So just be patient and keep trying is all I can say. So I cut a straight edge at the bottom thinking that I was going to use that at the bottom and that other piece at the top and maybe divide the page, but it was still not very exciting to me, so I kept going. And then I found some other papers. And that paper on the left that I'm using was something that I absolutely loved. I loved the color combinations in there and also the graphic shapes. And those same shapes are repeated on the piece on the right, but I'm not happy with the way they look with each other. But I'm still trying to figure out if I'm getting somewhere. And then, so I'm trying to use some element from one side and placing it on the other side. It's not coming together for me. Nothing like a good struggle for a collage exercise here. So then I decide that maybe it's pop of color that I'm struggling with, and I need some strong contrast like black and white. I am a contrast person. When things are looking too much the same, I'm never happy. So as soon as I bring out some black and white, I start to get a little bit more excited about it. So this one piece was from my rubber band. These were pickup sheets on deli paper from my rubber band video. And those pickup sheets end up being the best. And because you could see through them, you actually see a peak of that, teal color underneath. So and I love that little bit of orange that's over on the side. So that's why I started looking for other orange papers. And I found that one, and I was trying to make that work, but that was not working for me. So I kept looking. And I'm still playing with the composition. So then I decide that the bottom, the black and white, needs to be at the bottom on that page. Now I can already see that it's starting to flow better. So I'm still thinking I need some color on this page. And then I found this one. So even though the strong orange color is on the left, I decide to go with the more subtle colors on the right that have a little bit of green in there as well, and a little bit of teal. It's got a little bit of everything. And I tear it, and it turned out to be just perfect for this spot. And now I'm starting to get excited because it's all coming together. But I'm still missing a very important paper, so I start looking at papers again. And I decide that I need like a lighter shade of blue. So I'm looking at that one. And then I found this other sheet that I did, and it has the letters on it, and I decide that's it. That's the paper that I need. So now it's starting to come together quickly. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with it. I'll make it perfect. So I know it's still missing something, but I'm not quite sure what that is just yet. So I'm taking my time. I'm trying different things. Not too happy with that. And I'm just still trying to figure it all out. But I think I've already made my decision that the big pieces, we're ready to go. We're ready to start gluing those down and getting them in place. So I'm getting all my big pieces down, since I know for sure, and then I'm going to refine it after. So I keep playing with that piece that has type on it and or handwritten words on it. And I keep wanting to use it, but it's just not working anywhere. So I keep thinking something is wrong with that corner. I need something for that corner. And that piece that I tore off of the rubber band wax paper, or not wax paper, deli paper, that's exactly what it needed. It was to be in that corner. And overlapping the orange piece above. Still missing something, but I'm going to figure that out in a minute. Still keep trying to use this piece. And of course I keep changing my mind. Then I decide that it just needs to be smaller, that's all. I needed to cover up a little white corner that was happening there. I wasn't happy with that sharp edge, that corner. So this is what I mean by refinements. Sometimes there's one little particular area we're not happy with, and the left-hand side is starting to bother me again, and I'm still feeling like I need a little smudge of that brighter orange like I have on the left. So I'm taking my time, just trying to assess the situation and exactly what might I have that I can add to this to make this better. I start looking at other papers and cutting them into circles. I was really starting to struggle with this, trying to line it up with something, or I don't know. I was just trying to make it better. I just could not figure out what would make this better. I just needed to keep thinking. So I found this other sheet that had a little bit of the yellows. I had all those same colors, and I tore it just randomly, and it came to this interesting shape. And then it seemed right for that page. It just seemed right. Giving it a good squeegee. And then I just took a piece of the deli paper, and I got that orange paint, and I just did like a dry brush. Because I didn't have it, I created it. So I waited for it to dry and then turned it upside down and started to trim off the excess pieces. My blade was starting to get dull, which is why I started having trouble. Sometimes you have to use, 3-4 blades in one session. Nice. I am really happy with this. I was hoping that my first spread would be a good one. But I think I'm going to start it's too close to my go-to palette. And I just am noticing lately I'm really stuck in a rut with my color palette. So I'm going to start experimenting with color, and that's why I'm doing this journal. Normally I don't really work in a journal. I do small collages on wood, and they're piling up. So I decided that this kind of a book is something that I can use as an experiment, and it wouldn't take up as much space. And yet I still have the feel almost of working on a wood panel because it is stiff. Okay, so I love how this came out. I'm really, really happy with this. Hopefully it will lay flat. I have no idea if it will or not. It's still drying. But one of the things that I discovered, I have these little metal easels I got at Michael's, and it stands up on that easel really well. So whichever one that I'm feeling inspired about that week, I can leave it open on my desk. So I'm really happy about that. And don't forget, create, inspire, and share, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.